The Frustrator family is arguably the most successful design from this channel. It introduced loot rooms that are reached by drop-down chutes and rigged with undrainable traps, making every door raid a challenge. However, for many smaller groups, even the upkeep of the original Frustrator version 2 of 4.3k metal fragments per day is too much to handle. Many of you have asked for a smaller, more affordable version. Recently, my fellow base builder Crimstick showed me a huge multi-TC Grand Frustrator-like clan base design that he was working on. It was based on triangles only. To make the shotgun traps of the loot rooms point at the chute, he had extended them to use 3+1 triangles. Inspired by this design, I set out to see how compact a triangle-only footprint could be if I wrapped 3 of those loot rooms around a tiny core. And here is the result. Meet the Aggravator. 3 loot rooms surround the central TC, which makes the footprint extremely compact and cheap. Even in the most upgraded version, the upkeep in terms of metal fragments is only about 2/3 of the original Frustrator V2. You can cover this upkeep by farming 4 stone and 5 metal nodes, plus a bit of recycling for the hike wall. With a full TC, you can leave it unattended for more than 3 days, though let's be honest, which serious Rust player would do that? Please don't worry too much about the HQM upkeep. You can delay parts of the costly upgrades until you accumulated enough resources. While being cheaper and more compact, the Aggravator is as strong as its Frustrator cousins. Once the base is fully upgraded, it takes at least 25 rockets to reach the TC from any angle. The loot rooms are spaced out to require about 40 rockets to break into all 3 of them, and this assumes the best possible raid strategy that I could come up with, so an actual raid is likely to be more costly. The base further retains its open living and crafting area on the 2nd floor, which provides mobility and a sense of space. Optionally, there can be up to 5 turrets, which as usual can be put in and out of action from within the safety of the base, and which guard the immediate surroundings and help to defend against raids. The starter unit of the base can already be built while you do not yet have any of the blueprints. However, your life will be a lot easier if you already learned the reinforced glass window when starting the build, and it will require garage doors, ladders and shotgun traps to reach its maximum strength. And of course you will need auto turrets for the optional anti-door camper pods. The airlock provides a large field of vision to check the surroundings before leaving the base. This step brings you onto the 2nd floor. To the right, you find a 7-box drop chest loot room. To the left, we enter the main living space. Here, you find the workbenches, a few other items, as well as the entrances to the chutes and the auxiliary rooms. This auxiliary room serves as utility room. This one serves as bedroom. Down the chute, we enter one of the loot rooms. Since the unlootable loot rooms are nerfed, I decided to use garage doors instead of windows or low walls. As you can see, the traps point towards the chute and will make short work of any raider. Since they are behind the 2nd garage door, they hit raiders only after they are trying to blow through the 2nd garage door. And since there were no traps behind the 1st door, raiders might feel safe at this point to enter the chute with all their team members and all their explosives. Each loot room has 7 boxes, so you hopefully never run out of space. Please note though that only the 4 rear boxes are protected by traps, so put the most valuable loot there. Down this chute, we find the loot room that allows to access the TC as well. To make sure that the TC is very well protected, no matter which angle the raiders are coming from, I'd recommend to upgrade the outer walls to armored. In addition, you find an auto turret here, which thanks to its health is an even tougher nut to crack than the shotgun traps. If you decide to build external auto turrets, each of the chutes will have a window on one side, above which the bulky part of the garage doors are sticking through the wall. These allow you to open up the defense turrets compartments, which cover virtually every angle around the base. They're very useful in shutting down online raids and dealing with door camping zergs. Finally, this chute leads up to the roof access. Having roof access is vital, not only to be able to overwatch the surroundings of the base, but it also allows to extend the base if you desire. Another auto turret compartment can be placed at the end of the exit to guard large parts of the roof. To ensure that the roof exit won't be a weak point, we can stability seal it. Place a twig triangle on the chute and the roof with this orientation on top of it. If you upgrade the roof to sheet metal, it blocks the entrance to the base. Now that you've seen the base, let's check out how to build it. While you can build the Aggravator from scratch right after spawning, I would recommend building this base from a small starter, such as a 2x1, in particular if you have not yet found reinforced glass windows. The first thing you want to do is to claim the land on which you want to build. Do this quick, otherwise your favorite spot might be taken. Optionally, verify that the footprint fits where you want to build. It's comprised of a center triangle, one ring of triangles around that center, 3 more triangles on each of the long sides, 1 more triangle on each of the short side, and a square for the entrance. Unlike the original Frustrator, we built this base from inside out. To claim the area, upgrade the center triangle, place a wall towards the side of the entrance, place another wall left of it, and put a ceiling on top. The TC goes in the forward left corner, but not too far forward, so you can still place a wall in front of it. If you have a reinforced glass window ready, place down a window frame and close it off. If you're just starting out, consider to temporarily use wooden single doors with the soft side facing outwards. It just needs to hold off players until you farmed enough materials for a few more walls. Later, it takes 3 machetes to remove the door frame and replace it with a window. To protect the access to the TC, add 3 more triangles and a double door on the outside. Place a few temporary boxes in the back. The sleeping bag of your builder can go in front of the door. Now that the area is claimed, let's make the starter unit functional. I'll be upgrading everything to stone first and later show you which parts to upgrade to metal or armored. This is more realistic, as during early build you rarely have spare metal. Upgrade the next 4 triangles. Add walls around the side and 2 double doors at the end. The floor tile above the innermost double door needs to remain wood. This is where one of the chute entrances will be. Throw down furnaces and more sleeping bags in the newly built corridor. Once the furnaces are running, start to replace all wooden doors with sheet metal doors. In front of the TC, we already start to build the first loot room, which can hold 4 large boxes. Next, we're going to extend the build along the inner ring of triangles around the TC, which eventually will hold the 3 main loot rooms. Before you continue, if you can, upgrade the foundation on which the TC is located to armored, or at least to sheet metal. Upgrade the rest of the foundations around the TC to stone and build a wall all the way around. Put down a furnace here to be able to jump onto the second floor. Build 3 chutes at the tips of the triangles with the TCs. If you do not plan to build external turrets or do not care about servicing them from within the base, you can replace the window with a solid wall. The doorways should be on the left-hand side, seen from the center of the base. However, before you place them, add floor tiles at half height to make the chutes stronger. If you want roof access, leave the roof of the chute next to the square wood. To get onto the second floor from the outside of the base, place a half-height floor triangle here next to the square. Update the foundation as well, because you cannot replace it if it gets destroyed. The inner ring of the base is now done and can be used to house more boxes. Also, I placed the tier workbench down here somewhere. To prepare to close off the first floor and start using the second floor, we built the airlock next. Locate the side with the square foundations and upgrade all the adjacent foundations. Looking from that square, close off the triangle to the right. Place window frames and door frames as shown. Fill in reinforced glass windows and doors. Note that you could replace these windows with shop fronts if you lack the reinforced glass window blueprint but want to go ahead right now. Place a ceiling above the square and the adjacent triangle. Make sure that they are upgraded to sheet metal to avoid soft side tool raiding. A large box for quickly dropping off loot can fit underneath this half-height triangle. On the second floor, place windows left and right and full walls around the square above the entrance. The ceilings can remain stone. Place a wall here towards the core and add 2 double doors here. Now that you have a secure way up onto the second floor, close off the second floor of the core. Place full walls right next to the doors of the chutes and double doors next to those full walls. Once you added the ceiling, the central living space of the base has become usable. The Tier 2 workbench can go next to one of the chute entrances. Next, let's turn the space above the entrance into a drop chest room. Since the room is a square, you can fit a 7-box room in here. Click the pop-up for a detailed walkthrough on how to do that. Or, if you're too lazy, just use shelves. This extra space will be very helpful later to temporarily store all the loot while you remodel the main loot rooms. Once you're done, protect it with another double door. Since I assume that at this point, metal fragments are still mostly going into doors, tools and weapons, let's continue with the honeycomb, which is made out of stone. Upgrade all the remaining foundations to stone. At those single triangles, place a floor tile between the first and the second floor and walls around the first floor. At those triple triangles, simply place a 2-story wall around the outer perimeter. Since you aren't able to reach the ceiling from the ground, let's run inside. Cover the floors with twig for now, and then place ceilings. Before you close all of them off, climb onto the roof to complete the second floor of the single triangles. If you plan to use them for auto turrets, add wall frames and double doors or garage doors. If not, use full walls instead. Being on the roof, it's easy to complete all the ceiling and upgrade everything to stone. The loot rooms are still a mess, so let's work on them next. From this point on, I assume you have the blueprints of at least reinforced glass windows, garage doors, ladders and shotgun traps. Before you continue, make sure that all the chutes are open, so hatchet out that wooden floor tile that you placed in the beginning. Let's start with one of the 2 regular loot rooms. Jump down the chute that is located behind the airlock. Remove all doors and items. Furnaces and sleeping bags can temporarily go into the main living space. Use the drop chest room to store the loot from these boxes while you're remodeling the loot room. Close off the section by placing a wall next to the chute and another wall in front of the rear door. Upgrade them to sheet metal. Upgrade this inner wall, behind which the TC is located, to armored. Upgrade all other foundations and walls to sheet metal. This includes the chute. The 3 floor tiles above the loot room should be armored. Place a floor tile at half height. Place 5 boxes onto the floor like this. Place 2 shotgun traps against the wall, one to the left, one to the right. Both of them should be behind the last wall frame, but as far forward as possible, just so that they don't stick through the door. Otherwise, they might end up out of range if raiders stay as far back in the chute as they can. Add a second half-height floor tile. If you want, try to place a shotgun trap dead center. It's very hard to do so, but if done right, 2 boxes fit left and right. This last shotgun trap is best placed from as far back and as high up as possible. Therefore, temporarily extend the half-height floor tiles and jump onto a small box. Have the bulky part of the inner garage door point towards you and of the outer garage door point away from you. Place a ladder to the right to get out. The design steps for the second loot room are the same as for the first loot room. Just go ahead and repeat them. The loot room in front of the TC will be a bit different in order to keep the TC well protected. Again, remove all items before you proceed. As before, the foundations will be upgraded to sheet metal and the ceiling to armored. The window frame in front of the TC and the triangle floor tiles should be upgraded to sheet metal. If you were to upgrade the outer walls to sheet metal only, like in the other two loot rooms, the TC would be protected from 19 rockets if raiders guessed the right side. To increase that number to 25 rockets, I recommend to eventually upgrade these 4 walls to armored for 100 HQM. However, this will also increase the HQM upkeep from 25 to 43 per day. Feel free to hold off with the upgrades until you're confident that you can afford that. Another thing you have to do is to add a third wall frame here. The boxes on the lower floor are placed the same way as in the other two loot rooms. Same goes for the 2 lower shotgun traps. For the upper part, I'd recommend to replace the right box with the first auto turret you find, as it provides extra protection for the TC. Instead of 2, we use 3 garage doors. The rear one provides the needed extra strength in case raiders blow in from this side. Your loot rooms are now ready for use. Remember to put the most valuable stuff into the rear boxes. Now let's turn our attention to the second floor, which will be the main living space. First, upgrade the floor tile above the TC to armored so that all floor tiles are armored. Bit by bit, replace all double doors with garage doors. The walls next to the honeycomb should eventually be upgraded to sheet metal and turned around to prevent raiders from cheaply tool raiding their way into the outer compartments. Further, upgrade all the ceiling to sheet metal. This includes the floor tiles above the chutes, with the exception of the wooden floor tile for the roof access. In terms of item placement, it's up to you. I would place the tier 3 workbench in front of one of the other chutes. The wall in front of the entrance should stay clear for the stability seal of the roof entrance. Also, do not hesitate to add more garage doors wherever they fit. Next, we need to discuss splash damage protection. If the center of the base stays open, raiders can fire rockets onto the central triangle and break into the TC and 1 or 2 loot rooms at the same time. Thus, we need to create a splash damage barrier. If you prefer mobility, surround the central triangle with garage doors. A much stronger solution, proposed by my teammate Old Fool, was to place half-height walls and then fill out the inside with 3 furnaces. It's less convenient in terms of mobility, but a lot more efficient in preventing the use of splash damage. You could also use window frames, something I've seen in many redesigns of the original Frustrator. This might be even stronger, but also a lot more tedious. For the remainder of the video, I will stick with Old Fool's solution. The honeycomb has still 2 empty spaces, which you can use as you like. Let me give you 2 examples of how to use them. This one is going to be a bedroom for 2 people. Place floor tiles and upgrade them to stone or sheet. Here, place a ladder. Downstairs you can fit a bed, a locker and a large box for food, meds, ammo and personal belongings. The second bed goes onto the second floor. Place it as close to the wall as you can. A small box for food, meds and ammo fits right next to it. The locker for this team member has to go next to the chute. The other part of the honeycomb could be turned into a utility room. Jump down here and place 2 twig half walls as separators. Now fit up to 3 furnaces per triangle, which means there can be up to 9 furnaces down here. Make sure to empty them if you don't use them, because they're not very well protected. Place floor tiles here and 1 half-height floor in the corner. Put a repair bench on top and 2 boxes below it. In front of the garage door leading to this room, place the research bench with a large box underneath. This concludes the build of the main living space. Let's turn to the roof next. It's always good to have a roof exit because it allows you to check the surroundings of the base and to engage door campers and raiders. Locate the wooden floor tile and start chopping it out. 3 machetes or 1 sword should do. A minimal roof exit requires only 2 doors and 3 windows. Even with only 2 doors, the roof exit won't be a weak point because we can seal it. Remember that I asked you to leave this wall free? Thanks to that, we can now place a twig triangle here, then go into the airlock part and place a roof on top like that. The placement is a bit tricky, so keep trying different angles if it does not work immediately. Upgrade only the roof to sheet metal. This roof completely blocks the entrance into the core of the base and has the same strength as the rest of the ceiling. When you come online, destroy the twig to unseal the way up to the roof. If you're willing to spend a bit more materials and also like to have an auto turret on the roof, extend the exit by 1 triangle, but this time use a double door. If you place a turret a little bit offset, it should not block your passage while covering a good chunk of the roof. Then place 2 wall frames with garage doors like this in front of the double door. If you're worried about the angles left and right of the door, place 2 more shotgun traps, 1 covering each of the sides. Of course, there are no limits to extending your roof even further. It can easily fit a full shooting floor to take down the heli. Just keep an eye on the upkeep while you're expanding. And before we forget it, there are 4 additional spots for external auto turrets. 3 of them are just behind the windows of the chutes. To place them, you'll have to climb onto the compartments from the outside of the base. If the turrets are placed far enough back, you should be able to reach them through the window. The final auto turret can go in front of the main exit, similar to the design used in the original Frustrator V2. And voila! The Aggravator is fully functional. As always, I hope it'll bring you safely through the wipe. Until then, Evil Wurst out.